Lou and Chance, what's going on? We're talking about Jupiter's Legacy. Chance, man, break it down. How you feeling about this?
Jupiter's Legacy. Started watching it just probably yesterday, and I binge watched it. I was
Mm,
on TikTok. I was on TikTok just watching random videos. I seen one scene, and I guess it was in the first episode. Black Star fighting all the heroes,
right.
and I was I was like, "What's this?" And then they said it's a show. I read the comments. It says a show on Netflix. I immediately, and I promise, you, immediately went to Netflix and started watching it from there. Like whatever I was doing, whatever I had planned, just came to a halt that day because I just saw superheroes fighting a villain, and I called me a super fan, but I just had to see what it's about. So, what do I think? I think it has the perfect mixture of cheesy and fun. Kind of like Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I was watching and I instantly fell in love with the concept of the superheroes, having their thing and then having kids who are trying to carry their legacy. Hence the name Jupiter's Legacy. And I'm assuming Jupiter was where they got their powers. Uh, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I was able to binge watch it because I just had so much fun listening to the characters, and even from episode one, like the action and the setup and everything just drew me in. I think it was six members. Six members just kind of came together under, I forget Utopia's name, his real name, Sheldon, I think. Sheldon, he's working in like a factory. His father, who he thought he knew, was actually embezzling money. His father ended up committing suicide. And ever since his father committed suicide, he's been getting these voices and these visions and these images of what he's supposed to do. And it leads him to gather these five other people, one including his brother, his future wife, and three other members. And they end up going on this island and they end up all getting superpowers. They do a great job on explaining the backstory, kind of like Arrow. I don't know if you've ever seen Arrow, where they kind of have the past being explained, and then they go into like a more widescreen image where they explain the future as well. So they go hand in hand together. And I like things like that because it gives me a great backstory and it helps me learn who characters were before they became who they are in present day. But what I mean cheesy was because Utopian is obviously a knockoff of Superman. They didn't really pull any muscles there. It's pretty much Superman.
Right.
Uh,
Wasn't a
but
big stretch.
no, they didn't pull any muscles at all. That's Superman for sure. But yeah, he has a son, and it's hard to tell. The son is easily conflicted because of this code that all the heroes go by. When I think of code, I don't know, for some reason I think of Dexter. I don't know if anybody ever seen Dexter. But this code, this do not kill code, this, following this code to the T. And this code is getting their heroes killed because things don't go. The code worked back then, but things are different now. And these heroes need to protect themselves, but they can't protect themselves the way they need to because of this code. Following the code is actually how a couple of heroes got killed. Because if they were willing to make that kill shot, something I think Brandon did. Brandon is Utopia's son. And he was frowned upon for doing it by his father, but they said 78% of people actually agreed with what he did. And it was actually, in my opinion, was the right choice because if had he not did what he did, Black Star or Black Star's clone would have killed everybody. So it sits around this code and how they feel about it and how it's actually breaking down the team slowly but surely because they're conflicted on this code. I'm looking forward to see how they build on that. So altogether, I like the show. It was a fun watch for me. How about you?
So for me, in the beginning, I didn't like it. I was avoiding the show actively because it's like for me, it's just regurgitating the same, like you said, models of the characters we know, and so it's like a lot of shows just use that, the same six or seven characters, the Union, the Union of Justice, like and so I was trying to avoid that because I feel like that was just a copy clone. But what I did think they did really well was the code, like you said, the whole split between like what we all believe, right? We all believe, and that's as people, it's like if you can show me how two characters juxtapose each other by what they believe, like they have superpowers, that might make it interesting. But just as humans, on a human level, we all juxtapose each other, like my morals, your values, etc. Like, so I think that was a dope piece of it. Like the whole episode when the guy it looked like he was talking to his therapist, but he was actually talking to a guy that wanted to kill him for 25 years, like his arch nemesis. That kind of reminded me of the Watchmen scene. We were talking about the Watchmen scene when the comedian was talking to the same dude he's been fighting his whole life. Like, but that's kind of the same person he has his closest connection to. You know what I mean? So it's crazy where you could have that dynamic where it's like, we've been at odds this whole time, but who else would know the trouble I'm speaking of but the person opposed in my action? So it's like That was dope. I feel like exploring that is cool.
Yeah, kind of like a Magneto and Professor X dynamic,
Exactly. Yeah.
or even a Malcolm X and Martin Luther King dynamic. We have the
Exactly.
same belief, but we just have two different views on the same belief. And I think that's a popular thing. I think when comic books can add that in, it works out really well. Also another example was the Captain America and Iron Man, the Civil War. Whenever they comic book can successfully put this out there like that, I feel like it works really well.
That's what I was there for. That's what I was kind of skimming through it, and when they were introducing the characters, like, oh, this guy's fast, this girl. Okay. But when they started breaking down so even with the idea you having the first generation of superheroes and you have the second generation and their kids, and then in the comic book there's another generation, just how through the generations they all can't follow the same ideals. You know what I mean? And so what you believe in will mandate how you move, kind of. So the whole code with the dad is like, nah, we're not killing nobody. But if like you were just saying, if everybody's not moving on that type of time, if everybody's not believing in this code, and that's what in my eyes, that's where his power comes in, because he was the guy that set that code up. So it's like if you honor the code, you really honor that guy. If you remember the code, you live by the code, you really live by him. You really live by his standard. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they fear that guy. I was like, I'm super powered like you super powered. You might be more super powered than me, but I really fear the code you set in place. So it's like once the code starts breaking, it's like his reign on people, his reign on the superhero community kind of breaks. You know what I'm saying?
I think in that sense, his code, which was once his strength, is now starting to become his weakness, because now the
Right.
code is what's breaking everybody apart. The code he had implemented when he first got his powers is what bonded them together. Like you said, that's what made them who they are today, and that's what made him the leader, because he's the
Right.
person who created the code and followed it to the T. He's the only one who never really sprayed him from it. People had doubts about it. People, may even broke the code. His son broke the code. And now all these people that he held dear, or still holds dear, is now opposing him because of his code. So now
Right.
it was once his strength, is now his biggest weakness.
Because he'll choose that code over his kid. Like, you know what I mean? Hey, listen, if my kid is you saved my life, you should be grateful. But he's like, nah, you broke the code. Even though we're super powered people, the code, the morals, right? The things you believe. If you're on that type of time, that's what you believe, it will trickle down in your day-to-day, your every move and action, right? So it's like you will have a huge line being crossed, huge divide being drawn by people that believe this, like to their core, and people that just don't. I can't follow that. Like the mom kind of Lady Liberty, or she kind of alluded to it, like going this way with the code stops truth. There's like I can't be on that type of time. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
Yeah, if it keeps the wedge gets wider, yeah, they'll probably stay true to the comic book, and it'll get crazy.
I think the code was important because it makes sense, because we have people with powers and the ability to just do whatever they want, and the ability to essentially kill with ease. It's important to have a code that says no matter what, we don't kill. We do our best to incapacitate, and I think that's important. However, like said, the times have changed where villains are starting to become more powerful. They're starting to become more aggressive, and they're not looking just to steal money from a bank or just do little petty crimes. Now they're doing full out murder. They don't protect themselves, and they keep following this code to the T. It will and has already will get them killed.
Right. It's not going. Right. It doesn't match up. It doesn't match up with the thing that they're confronting now. It's crazy to even think about it. Well, two things is it, like absolute power, like they say, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And so for these guys to be so powerful, it's like obviously maybe 1, 2 of the 6 will start having in their head that now we got to do more. We should be kings or queens or gods in this world. But on top of that, it's like in the world, in the world of yin and yang, where it should be some balance. Where is the balance where there's these superhero beings, right? Of course, the bottom would have to adjust to try to meet this now higher, right? This other higher force. It's almost like, yeah, you're going to be matched with bigger villains because now you got bigger positive strengths. Just opposed to if there were bigger villains. If like it'd be dope if all the super villains had powers. Evil people are just the ones that are super powered. Well, sooner or later, you'd have to have a higher, stronger, positive force, another opposing force, right? That would balance that out, because it can't just be all that way. It can't just be all, right? So it's like, yeah, it's just what happens because the world needs that yin and yang, that balance. And so because it's unbalanced, well, supervillain's going to come up and try to challenge you.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the code is a little subjective, because what would be the code if the villains were the ones with the superpowers and the heroes were the one who didn't? What if the
Right.
supervillains? What if the
What mean
supervillains
that
have
don't kill
powers?
nobody?
Right. Now the code is subjective now because now when the villains have that much power, you can't incapacitate them without killing them. Like I said, now the code is starting to have holes in it now because now these villains are starting to become more powerful than the heroes. And
Right.
this is what I think Lady Liberty was trying to get through to Sheldon, saying like things are not the same, especially when she watched I think Ghost Beam. Ghost Beam got killed. The last thing she said before she died was, "Don't worry, I followed the code." And I think that's now she's sitting here with her insides falling out, dying because she followed that code.
But then she also killed the other character. That's what I'm thinking now. It's like, so again, it's like the code, right? Like, okay, so let's say we take the metaphor to police, right, or military service. Like they have their code, right? The thing that they follow as a group. But it's like I might get to a point where it's like you doing special ops or you treating people in the street crazy. It's like I can't follow that. I can't put my neck on somebody. I can't put my knee on somebody's neck. I can't follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a group code, but my personal code, I can't do that. So when I first started, I'm thinking, well, maybe she was talking about, yeah, I follow my code, the code that I follow. You know what I mean? Because now it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? Again, the code as it's set now is something that just Utopia, he set that up. And it fits his morale and his vision, but it's not the reality. Like the therapist, the supervillain said, you live in a black and white. That's not the reality as it is of all gray. So in a world of gray, that code doesn't apply. You might not have your own code. We all need to have our own code.
I think the code is so much bigger now because before when it first started. Because if you remember when they all got their powers, it wasn't just those six. The if you watch, the
Oh
next
yeah,
explosion
washed over
happened.
some other people.
Right, and then all these people had kids, and then
Right.
that's how our
Because
generation
they're
of
not the
heroes
only
starts.
superpower people in the world that we see. Yeah.
Now this code that was supposed to be between you six and was supposed to be shared throughout the world, everybody who get powers is not good.
Yeah.
And everybody's not gonna follow that code.
Right.
So now you have a group of people who are not gonna follow the code, and you have a group of people who will follow it to the T. Who's gonna live? You know what I mean? You have one that's gonna say, "I refuse to kill you," and you have another one that says,
I'll say
I don't
this.
care about none of that."
Right. And that's the good, the juxtaposition, you know what I mean? And only one force is gonna win. What I will say is, with change of times come change of thought, right? Obviously, like things change with time. I think when it comes to this story, it's like that's not a code that the aliens or the people that imbued the power that imbued those guys, they didn't give them that code. Sheldon came up with the code, right?
Right.
So it's like, right? So it's like the power just had to see you're worthy. I said that these six was worthy. At the end of the day, like you were saying, is like a bad person might get this, the resonance, but it's not the same code. They won't believe what you believe. Sheldon just believed that. You know what I mean? The code changes, just like laws change over time, right? Social norms and acceptances change. So it's like, yeah, maybe we'll just see the new ways, the second generation, third generation get to the point where like, nah, we're not rocking with this. Take out the old guys. Yeah.
It's adaptation. It's adaptation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like over
Adaption,
time, you have to start adapting to the times, and the code has not adapted well, and it's starting to show. It's starting to show. The code is clearly not followed by Walt, the brother, because he killed his daughter just to keep her
right.
quiet about his
He's like,
plans.
he's
So
sterile.
now this,
Listen, he's like, I'm not my brother.
we should have, us as the audience should have knew from there when he said that to Black Star, and he made him forget how to breathe. This is clearly the villain. Like, he's already been showing signs. He's emotionally unstable. He's been emotionally unstable from the beginning. They were on a cliff, and he's sitting here crying. He's not, we thought Sheldon was the unstable one, but Sheldon had a reason to be unstable. He was getting real visions and stuff like that. And his unstableness caused him to give all powers. So he ain't that crazy. Right. Walt, on the other hand, already showed his jealousy. The fact that he, Sheldon was everybody follows him. Everybody, he gets what he wants. Nobody opposes him.
So he started resenting his brother. Right.
70 years, and everything that he hates about Sheldon has now been amplified. Now you gave this man powers and made him the leader, and he's the strongest one out of all.
Right. So if you hated him before, how you feel now?
Super hate him. Like, you know what I mean? The hatred increased. I think it was important they were showing that backstory because it showed it wasn't just out of nowhere he the villain. It wasn't just a plot twist. He's been showing you from the beginning that he's not, Sheldon's not his favorite person.
It sets up a good placement so we know that not everybody, they was a group, but not everybody has the same focus on that code. And so, we have a group code, but we also have our personal morals, right? Is there certain things I will do that you won't do, vice versa? Right. Let me ask you this, because I did want to ask you this final question. What do you think is gonna happen second season, volume 2? What's gonna happen?
I think on the second season, I think Walter's going to be figured out maybe mid-season.
Uh-huh.
And I think from the mid-season to last season will be more or less Sheldon trying to kind of understand Walt more and kind of like getting a realization like, oh, we never solved our issue. All you did was give our issue superpowers. So I think more they're gonna delve into that, and Wolf is gonna have a following. He's gonna have a backing because like I said, 70% of people agreed with what Brandon did, and I think Wolf's goal is to take Brandon and put him on his side because
Right.
Brandon is being built to be the new Utopia. So Wolf is thinking ahead of the game. He wants to reshape Brandon so that he can control that leadership.
Right.
And now that's the best way for him to break the code.
Right.
Brandon, because Brandon is set to be one day the strongest out of all of them. He's set to be one day the new Utopian. He's set to be stronger than his father. They already said that. So Brandon is key. Once you get Brandon to follow Walter's version of the code, you now have a society that may create some chaos.
That's the beauty of it. I'm gonna say I fully agree, but what I say is understandable. It's understandable.
I get it.
It's not even about these characters, really. It's not really about their powers, really. The struggle ain't the superpower. The struggle is the code, the underlying belief as people we have. So that's what is interesting to me. You know what I mean? Because that's a struggle that you could take away the superpowers and there still be this struggle of what we believe to be right and wrong. You know what I'm saying? So
they're not just throwing superpowers at us. They're giving us a backstory. They're giving us something, a reason to watch. They're making superpowers more or less the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. Like we're giving you a full-blown story, we're just going to throw a little dazzle at you,
which is just a little splash.
Yeah, I want to see him break the code.
Who, the dad?
I want to see the dad break the code.
Dad's not. I think that's code. Spoiler alert, bro. The son's gonna kill the dad.
That you know what? I'll take that. Season 2.
He's gonna be like, yo, you're not. You know, he's gonna kill the dad.
Make the last episode of season 2 Sheldon killing the dad. You do that, you got me. That's because that's unexpected.
And then in the comics, he has a family with that girl. The two Sky Fox's son and Utopian's daughter have a kid.
Oh, Chloe, I think.
Yeah, they have a kid.
Really?
So they could do that like season 3 or Apparently, there's a big time jump in the comic, so it's like it goes from like the dad dying, and then like years in the future they have a kid, then the kid's a superhero.
Oh, so the dad does die
in the comic book, yeah. In the comic book, the son body. I'm pretty sure the son bodies the dad, and then like you said, the uncle become like the guy that's calling the shots.
Listen, I didn't know that, so that was a pure guess, and I was right. I just wanted to. Yeah, I didn't know that. I never.
I didn't tell you that. I did the research back in. You know what I mean?
Oh, he didn't see. Guru did not reveal to me he did this. I'm surprised. I did not know this happened. I just took a lucky guess, and I happen to be right. That's all right. Cool.
I had to look up more so that I cared. Personally, I'm tired of seeing characters look like carbon copies of other stuff, so I was turned off to that. But once I got to the point where they started breaking down the dynamics between each character, just like there's dynamics between people. Just like there's dynamics between beliefs, that's what stuck me through, and I feel like they got something with that. So all in all, man, I appreciate it came out of nowhere. They got another little jammy. I'm sure that we got plenty of other comic book shows coming out. Loki about to drop. That's gonna be good. I'm excited. Stay tapped in. We also got the comic. Kodiak Comics is dropping their first volume. You know what I mean? It's dropping soon. I'm not talking about it too much, but stay tuned, man. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Just keep watching. Man. All right. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Tell your friends, tell your mama them. Leave some comments, man. Share them.
Yeah, definitely. We want to hear what you think as well. So like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.